It's not a 6.75 hour job. It's not. I spend more time than 6.75 hours a day doing my job. But that's okay. It's what I signed up to do.
We get up in the morning and we get stuff ready. We get to school early to make copies. We get to school early to laminate and to cut and to meet with parents and to conference with parents and to write notes for kids and to tutor kids and help with their science fair projects and lesson plan and grade papers. And we do all of this on our own time because during the school day, we have students in class and we're supposed to be teaching.
I get up at 5 a.m. until like 5 or 6 at night. All the janitors know me.
It's not easy, so it takes a special kind of person to be able to do the job that we do every day.
I pull in the parking lot and it's already full. You know, teachers had already been here for an hour, hour and a half, maybe up to 2 hours, and they stay late. They certainly are dedicated and very devoted.
I'm dumbstruck, really, honestly, as to why people treat us like a lesser profession.
I don't think they understand fully what we do every day, that it's not a 9-to-5 job, that when we go home, we work all evening and the weekend is spent to, you know, grading and prepping for the next week.
Yeah, everybody loves to yell from their megaphone that teachers deserve more, but nothing's getting done. And so people are also all too ready to wash their hands of it and say, there's nothing I can do.
I don't think the vast majority of the public understands how hard it is to reach each and every individual student where they are and give them what they need.
There are so many needs of the students that aren't being met. There's so many needs of the teachers that aren't being met. And it would be great if, you know, educators were allowed to be a part of the decision making.
We know from research that the most important factor in any classroom and any kid's education is the teacher. We can have money for all these other things, but the teacher is the most important factor, and it's hard to keep good teachers when they could go anywhere else and make so much more a year, and no one can blame them.
After looking at what I would make and talking to my principal about what I would potentially be offered in January, it was just kind of like, I can't stay. I mean, going to OU and going to college to be a teacher is over $100,000. All of that is in loans. I could not stay, even with the debt forgiveness programs, I couldn't stay and pay my loans and pay rent off of what I'm being offered from Oklahoma districts.
If my teachers don't feel valued, they don't feel respected, then they can't do what they need to do to meet the needs of our kids today.
The joke inside education is that, yes, education pays unless you're in education.
The system is very broken, and I don't think there's a great solution because it's not a system that just became broken overnight. It's something that's been broken. So as far as teacher pay, I'm in it till the end. I'm too close. I love what I do. I'm not eating ramen noodles 3 meals a day. So for me, I will finish, but I also look out into my classroom and I see kids, and even my own daughter would be a great teacher. They'd be amazing. And when I talk to them about it, they just look at me and they're like, I would never do what you do for what you get paid. So that is where the problem is.
I work a second job and things are still tight. I have a son in college and one in high school, and kids at any age are expensive. So yeah, it's a struggle. In most professions, at least what I'm familiar with, is that you have the opportunity for advancement and significant pay raises over time when you've made that your career and your passion, but not so in teaching.
Would you lose me? Oklahoma might. Another state might get me, a state that pays more. If it weren't for my husband's salary, he makes, you know, and again, no college education, makes twice as much as what I will ever make, and here I am with a master's degree and teacher of the year, and you know, I would never be able to support my 2 kids. I don't know how people do that. It blows my mind.
The people I've been shadowing and the people that have let me into their schools, it doesn't reflect the work that they do or the lives that they change or the families they impact. Like, it just doesn't reflect that at all.
I need to be paid an honest wage. I need to be valued as a teacher, as an educator, and acknowledged through my paycheck in a way that shows me that all of my education and all of my experience and all of my dedication is worth it.
I think the frustration for a lot of us as teachers is not that we mind being held accountable. I think we're doing a great job and we teach our students well, but we have the variety of tests, the inconsistency with testing companies and the evaluations and how valid are they, and there's all these questions up in the air, and that seems to be the focus a lot of times, is these tests as opposed to all the other great things that we're doing in the classroom.
I definitely know it's a different environment than what I grew up in. Whenever I was in more public schools, graduating in 2004, I'd never heard of EOIs or anything like that. I mean, I know we had tests that we needed to pass, but I never even had to grapple with the idea that if I didn't pass this one certain test on this one day, then I could be held back, or that I wouldn't be able to graduate. I can't imagine how that wouldn't be stressful.
So my scores and my kids' scores are compared to other affluent non-Title I schools. It's not fair. It's not equitable.
I have 140 years worth of history that I have to get through by April. And so I have this deadline hanging over my head. And so I'm kind of in a catch-22. If I don't teach all the curriculum, then I'm at fault. But if I don't teach them how to think, I'm at fault.
Let's do a pre-test at the beginning of a year to see where the kids start, and then do one post-test at the end of the year to see where they finished. So that way we could actually look at the gains that they have.
I would say most teachers are fine with accountability. We welcome accountability both as administrators and teachers. It needs to be fair, it needs to be consistent. We can't continue to change standards, change tests that we take, change cut scores. We need some consistency. We will play by the rules as long as we feel like they're fair and we know what's expected of us. And in a lot of ways, just leave us alone and let us do our jobs. Trust us to do what we need to do.
As a teacher that sees my students every day, and I know what their abilities are, and I know how hard they've worked, and I know where they're struggling, I think I'm a better gauge of whether they should pass or fail than some random test that they take one day.
Because I love my kids, and so many times I refer to my kids and people think I'm talking to my own children, and I love them dearly. I love my kids.
I just wanted to be a teacher because someone changed my life and I know I can do it to someone else.
Some of my kiddos don't have anybody. They really don't. Being that smiling face that they see every day, it means something. It means something.
I love hearing a kid say, I like math, or math is fun, because I like math and math is fun to me.
Whenever I look at my students, I always think about myself, and I always want to give them the kind of teacher that I always wanted.
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here. I tell my students to come see me. I'll be hobbling down the hall someday, but yeah, I plan to stay right here. I love it here.
I do worry about in the future, especially living in Oklahoma. When I found out I was coming to Oklahoma, I was not happy. It's one of the lowest paying states for teachers. When I retire, even after 20 years, I'll be making $10,000 to $15,000 less than if I retired in Rhode Island. So that is the thought in the back of my mind that I can't stay here forever, even though I love it.
They'll have to carry me out in a pine box. And I'll probably be saying, I have one more thing before they put me under.
I think the ones that are here and are established will be here. I think the sense of accomplishment they get from the job is enough to sustain them. But, I think we're going to continue to lose teachers if we don't see the increase in pay, and the prestige of the job needs to increase. And the perception of how important it is and how teachers feel. They need to feel valued in their job.
I knew what it was when I signed up. I'll be doing this because I love it. I just wish something would change.
We are breaking the silence. People need to understand what it is that teachers face and go through on a daily basis. We continue to pile more and more on them to a point where they're not able to do what it is that they're charged with doing. This is our call to action. It's time that we join forces to provide solutions for every single child. We owe it to our teachers and our students to come up with long-term funding solutions, whether it be the 1-cent sales tax, a gas tax, or some form of long-term funding solutions for public education. We need assessments that enhance learning and don't interfere. One example would be do away with end of instruction tests and replace it with the ACT, or even look at a growth model that measures progress from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. We need a reliable accountability system that evaluates schools, students, teachers in a fair and consistent manner. And lastly, let's give teachers back the freedom and trust that they deserve so that they can help students learn.
I can't change the world with my 150 students, but maybe I can. It's worth a shot.